Can we just try that one more time? I'm going to turn it up a little bit more.
Yeah. Hello there, my name is Eric BURDON, and you're on the flip side with Java John.
Perfect, thank you. All right. Well, friends, tonight I have a very special treat to share with you. I have on the line Mr. Eric BURDON. Hello, Eric.
Hello, John. How you doing?
Wonderful. It's so great to hear your voice. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me tonight.
My pleasure.
Having grown up with Eric BURDON and the Animals and Eric BURDON's solo and the War material and everything, your music really was everywhere to the soundtrack of my youth. And I want to thank you for that, all the wonderful music that you've provided for us over the years.
Well, thank you for the compliment. It's always nice.
I myself, over the course of the years, had kind of lost track with some of your recordings in the 80s and the 90s. And then into the 2000s, into this millennium, a friend of mine turned me on to a little disc called My Secret Life, which blew my mind. To me, it stood up to anything that you had recorded previously that I had ever heard. And that was followed up in 2006 by another fantastic disc called Soul of a Man.
Well, thank you.
These discs are wonderful, and you really run the gamut on styles, from rock and roll to folk and R&B and boogie and jazz and blues, and I got a real sense, more so I think on My Secret Life than on Soul of a Man, I got a real sense of introspection or looking back and really enjoying your history. And that just may have been the song selections, I'm not sure. But that's how I felt when I heard it, and I did love both of those discs. So
well, a lot of people say don't look back, but it depends on how big your back was. And I constantly, unconsciously, it would seem at first, but now I'm conscious of it, I realize that I love to write songs about people who were heroes to me,
right,
and especially in the arts, you know,
right,
and in the performing arts, and in a way that continues with this album, although not completely. But I do have 7 tracks to celebrate my 70th year on the planet.
Right on.
So 7 tracks plus 1 8-track, which is in touch with what I've been doing in the past. It's called the Bo Diddley Special. And it's the background on the story is that I first tried to meet Bo Diddley as a young fan in my hometown on his first tour of outside of the United States. I never did get to see him, and over the years we've played gigs together. We've passed each other around on the road, but we never ever got to talk face to face.
Oh.
That's the basis of the song, and it was very strange that I should get invited by his family to his memorial service in Clearwater, Florida, having never met the guy.
Huh.
And then I'm in conversation with the local press, and they were like, well, it's the first time you met Mr. Diddley. And I was like, well, today was the first time, but today's his memorial service. And I said, well, that's the strange thing.
Wow.
Is that this is the first time I ever saw him face to face, was lying there in a state of grace, you know. So I thought it was a good story to tell musically.
Yeah.
And it gave the players in my life, in my recording life, an excuse to get into Bo's clave beat with a vengeance and
Sure.
have a good time bringing that alive, And on guitars, I had Johnny Lee Shell, who also owns the studio, and Billy Watts, who's my regular guitar player on the road. Eric McFadden, an old friend of mine, joined us on the session. Terry Wilson on bass, regular part of my unit. My producer, Tony Brownicle, playing drums. Percussion, Wally Ingram, another old friend of mine who usually plays with an outfit called Stockholm Syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And background vocals with a gentleman called Willie Wheaton, Leslie Smith, and Billy Valentine. It was my determined effort to have male backup vocals on this album, and it worked out really well.
Cool.
So that's the background on the Bo Diddley special.
Nice. So this new recording in celebration of your 70th, which, by the way, when is your 70th?
May 11th.
Okay. Happy birthday in advance.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Do we have a title for the disc yet?
We just came up with the title yesterday when we're not sure, but I'm thinking of Dust to Dust.
Dust to Dust?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
The
I think
cycle.
it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And prior to us chatting, I had the opportunity to listen to a track that I just thought was beautiful, phenomenal, and entertaining. The Invitation to the White House. It was a dream. Could you tell me a little bit about that song?
Yeah. It was. It's gonna maybe part of a future CD, but it was our little experiment by using cards that would carry the website number, and the people who had the cards could call in the website and download it. And it was a little experiment that we liked very much. It was a single, and we just put it out there as a feeler to see if people like that Vogue, that particular Vogue, or not.
Right.
Actually, we just added horns to it, so it's still a work in progress. But people like it the way it is. It may stay that way. We don't know yet. And the idea behind the song was I looked upon Obama as a very genial, seemingly open kind of guy, and very unusual for a president,
Yes.
an American president, except for maybe Woodrow Wilson, who was dearly loved and I believe started the cycle of the Fireside Chat, the radio,
right.
the weekly radio reports, But I figured, what if casually was invited to have a conversation with a guy like Obama? What would I talk about? And that's what the song is aimed at. It's not particularly a need to be political. It's more of a personal thing,
Right.
of course, with it being about and for the president. It does enter into some of the politics. With a song like that, though, once you record it, if you don't get it out lightning quick to
Right.
listeners, the nature of the beast is that things change.
Right.
And some things have already come to pass. So that might call for an update and a re-record. Who knows?
It's a
A
great
weekly
tune.
sheet on the president.
It's a great tune. I love it. So
Thank you.
I hope it makes the cut.
Yeah, it probably will. Yeah,
Good.
I think so.
Any other highlights so far on the disc that you'd like to chat about?
Yeah, I'm looking at a list that we made. Memorial Day, which features most of my regular playing road band, especially Red Young and keyboards. We added Wally Ingram again on percussion. Terry Wilson, my regular bass player. Billy Watts, my regular guitar player. Memorial Day, my idea was I talked to my producer and drummer Tony Brownigal about what would be your Memorial Day request if somebody gave you the opportunity to. Who would you remember on Memorial Day? Since neither one of us is related to serving soldiers at the moment in our lives. And also the thoughts of how important the peace movement was several decades ago, and that my observation is that war has just become a big business, and maybe we should look at peace as a business, and maybe it'll do better. I don't know, but that was the thought behind the song Memorial Day. So it's sort of my Memorial Day, remembering those people who fought and stood for peace, and hope that more will, heed the call of standing for peace. One of the lines in the song is "Be strong, let peace be the only way" on Memorial Day. So that's one song.
Right on. I'll tell you what, that I'm grinning ear to ear on that, because that is beautiful, and I love, when I think of you, I think of you as the guy that carries that torch, and I really respect that you have never dropped that torch of peace, and the concept of peace as business.
Yeah.
Wow, wouldn't that be great if that caught on like wildfire?
Yeah, it kind of was.
It did, yeah.
In the wake of World War II, it was.
Right.
Which brings me to the next track that I wrote, and it was an attempt to reawaken the songs that I knew as a child in post-war England, where and then it moved into the first conflicts in the Middle East, when my two of my uncles were serving overseas in Egypt and in what was to become Israel. There were songs on the radio constantly that were messages. They were songs, but they were messages to serving soldiers. And keeping in mind that I believe in peace and I want to see peace, but I also always reserve a place in my soul and heart for those who are serving abroad.
For sure.
And their families.
Right on.
And the song's called "Wait." Wait for me. Don't give up. Don't give up the faith. I'll be back one of these days. That's the general feeling of the song, and I love this song. It's really give the musicians a chance to get into a different vogue, a more genteel, almost jazz vogue, and we brought in Eric McFadden, who's a great guitar player, and I felt he was needed on this track. Reggie McBride on upright bass, and Lenny Castro on percussion, and it's a very special track for me. The next song that I should mention is my producer threw out. First of all, I threw out him a concept: the devil and Jesus, two characters who are, I was going to say, a part of our history. That beyond that, But I can remember from day one as a child that I suddenly had these characters in my life,
Right.
and I've often wondered what they were really like. First of all, Jesus is always portrayed as a light-skinned, fair-haired, blue-eyed personage, which it certainly wasn't true. I'm sure that
Right.
where he was from and area that he was from, and if he did indeed walk to India and back, he would certainly be almost black. He was certainly more ethnic looking
Right.
than he's portrayed. And for me, I did a lot of research before I committed myself to writing the song. First of all, I was like, I can't deal with this. It's too heavy, and it's too deep. But my producer sort of played tennis with me, and he hit the ball back and said, just get on with it. So that started me doing a lot of research. And the research I was looking for was the conversations that are quoted in the Bible where Jesus was confronted with the devil, and in that light, temptation, which we're all confronted with.
Right.
That's what the devil is temptation. So it's called The Devil and Jesus, and it's about this actual, I thought originally a conversation between the two larger-than-life spiritual characters in our lives. But the one thing that struck me was that in the research that I did, I realized that in the world of the Native Americans,
Mm-hmm.
there was no Jesus. There
Right.
was no devil, sorry. And when Jesus was given to them by the conquistadors and the black cloaks, as they were called, the priests, in handing the concept of Jesus to the New World, they handed him the devil as well, which is not a part of his world.
Right.
So that strikes me as an important point. But anyway, it's a sweet-sounding song, and I had the backup singers on this track, black voices, and they really help it, give it an almost gospel kind of feel. The black voices were Billy Wheaton, Leslie Smith, and Billy Valentine, and it has a lot of atmosphere.
Nice.
So we'll see how that flies.
I look forward to hearing that one too.
Another track is called Water. It came into my mind because I met Mikhail Gorbachev some years ago, and we had afternoon tea with myself and some other musicians. And as I sat there talking to him, I thought, what can I ask a guy of his stature who went through the experience that he did and
Right.
was a part of bringing down the standing order in the Soviet Union.
Right.
And he's a beautiful guy. He's really, really extremely well dressed and extremely courteous. And so I thought, well, I know what to ask him. What, in your estimation, is the next real danger zone that the ever-evolving world faces? Like, for instance, what's beyond oil? And his answer was water. So that was the basis for the song called Water. And then that led me to another song which I've had on the table for quite some time. It never made it to previous albums. So it's called It's in the Ground. And one of the lines in that song is that oil and water just don't mix. finding one without the other. That's the trick. It's in the ground. And so that kind of led to that song. And then we have this beautiful track which a group in Athens, in Greece, called Pixlax, very popular there in homeland. They had written a song called Save Me, and I thought it was a great concept. It says, someone wrote Save Me on the wall under the neon lights. And it's a kind of a pan across the life of a modern day city and all its confusion, and there's this writing on the wall, graffiti that says "Save Me." And I recorded it with Pixlax. I just got off the plane, went straight to the studio. They said, "Here it is." I said, "Wow, this is really complicated." So they locked me in a room. I kept everybody away, and I tackled the song from the inside out. I managed to get a rough vocal down, and then I learned the song from my own vocal, and it was quite an undertaking. And it's still live, and we re-recorded it, and it's real, almost a beautiful reggae/jazz approach, especially the piano work from John Cleary, who lives and works in New Orleans. He's a Brit that lives in New Orleans, and it's really a sweet track, and I hope people will grok what it's about.
Yeah.
What else? Oh yeah, as we were doing some research. My wife in particular was looking at how many artists in my world when I was younger had passed away at the age of 27.
Right.
And we found out by cruising the web that there is the idea of it being a 27 club, and there's even been a book published. This all came to light after I started work on the song. But I realized that when I was 27, I went through some really heavy changes. In fact, my friend Jimi Hendrix was around me in my world. I was in his world.
Right.
When he decided to go to the next world.
Right.
And he wasn't the only one. Janis Joplin, who I was friends with, also, and Jim Morrison, too.
Yeah.
So the song is called 27 Forever, and it's interesting concept.
It is. It's kind of amazing how many have left us at that age.
Oh, if you research the list,
oh yeah,
it's unbelievable. I mean, even Robert Johnson.
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah.
Unreal.
And there are so many, but that's the idea of the song. Is if you want to be 27 forever, it's also a warning from me to younger musicians that are and artists and writers that are coming up in the world. I know that I had a dreadful fear of turning 30.
Right.
But probably my focal point being Jimmy's passing.
Right.
As I was so close to him. I was in that circle around his death, and that was a terrible thing to have to go through. But it kept me away from me getting trapped in that whirlpool.
Yeah.
Because I left London and came back to California, dove headlong into what was going on in California, and it helped keep that dreadful experience at arm's length.
Right.
But
You had visited with Jimmy the day before he passed, hadn't you?
well, yeah, vice versa. He visited me in
Right.
Ronnie Scott's club in London,
Right.
and I could see that he was in trouble.
Mm.
The only way that I could deal with someone being in his state was to say, listen, go away, when you've got yourself together, come back, and we can maybe jam. And I know he was in desperate need to be surrounded by people maybe from his homeland, and the band I was with at the time was War,
Mm-hmm.
so he could identify with those guys.
Right.
And he did indeed come back a day later, and the next day he was gone.
Mm.
So the memory still stays with me, and this song helps me sort of put it in perspective a bit, and also focus on the other people who have succumbed to that. I don't know what to call it. Well, it's been called a club,
Right.
but that's a little frivolous, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we many of us, think back on Jimmy regularly, and I can't imagine, having been as close as you to him, what it must be like sometimes. But have you been listening to any of the recent material that they've been putting out from Jimmy?
I can't do that.
No. Some of it is wonderful, but yeah, I was wondering if that would be too difficult or not.
I can't bring myself to do that.
Mm.
I think the reason why is that after he died, the release of Dolly Dagger.
Right.
Well, I was around when he was recording that in Barnes in London,
Mm-hmm.
in Barnes Studio, and when the single came out, it was definitely not him playing guitar.
Oh no.
No, somebody stuck another guitar player on
to
top
cash
and
in.
kept
Yeah.
it quiet. And plus, I know that standing in the wings, waiting for Jimmy when he was ready, was among some of the top jazzmen that wanted to work with him.
Oh, sure.
And I'm sure that's where he should have gone to. He
Yeah.
should have ended up being a great jazz virtuoso.
Right.
And he enjoyed jamming on that level. And there was different sides to Jimmy that people don't know about. I mean, he was very gentle at times, and you can see that in his playing. I mean, if you want to know who Jimi Hendrix is all about, just take the first 3 albums that he had recorded in England and listen to the lyrics.
Yeah.
Listen to the words, and that's the key to the other Jimi Hendrix, for me. Anyway. But no, I haven't listened to any of the recent stuff.
Okay. Well, I know we've gone a bit longer than I think we were going to. I do want to mention before I forget that I'd like people to know that they can find Eric Burton on the internet, certainly by searching on the Google, but you could directly dial up ericburton.ning.com, and there's a great source of information regarding Eric's music and releases and touring. And speaking of touring, we would love to see you come to Florida someday, my friend.
Yeah, so it's ericburton.com.
Yes.
Yes. You can see what's happening in my world.
Yes.
And I hope in your world too.
Yes. Well, Eric, it's been a real treat, and I hope that maybe after the album that may be called Dust to Dust, maybe after that comes out, maybe we'll get a chance to chat again.
Yeah.
It has been a pleasure. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheerio.